Welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right into the hidden and honestly completely fascinating psychology of connection and relationship safety. If you've ever felt like your relationship is just stuck in this frustrating loop, you are definitely in the right place. Today we're unpacking the deep science of appreciation, and spoiler alert, we're going to see how it's so much more than just being polite. It's a massive catalyst for profound emotional connection. Let's get into it.
So let's be real for a second. This scenario is probably going to sound incredibly familiar. You are giving it your absolute all, right? You're working late, you come home, you tackle the endless chores, you're managing the calendar, you're trying so hard to be supportive. But despite all of this very tangible effort, your partner still feels like you just don't care. Or hey, maybe you're on the flip side of this. You feel like you're single-handedly keeping the relationship afloat, but whenever you reach out to actually connect, boom, you hit a total wall of emotional distance. It is exhausting, and it leaves you feeling entirely invisible.
Where researchers actually have a name for this whole frustrating dynamic, the appreciation paradox. It pops up all the time in longitudinal studies of couples. And it's wild because logically, the math just doesn't add up. I mean, how can one person give so much of their time and energy while the other person sitting right across the room still feels completely unappreciated and totally disconnected? The energy going in doesn't match the connection coming out. But science tells us this disconnect almost always comes down to a fundamental misunderstanding of what appreciation actually does inside the human brain.
See, this research completely flips our standard idea of gratitude on its head. In relationship psychology, feeling appreciated isn't just a polite, hey, thanks for taking out the trash. It is actually a deeply rooted safety signal for your nervous system. It's this biological lifeblood that completely bypasses our logical, higher reasoning and tells our threat detection centers, hey, this person is genuinely invested. When we get that genuine appreciation, it tells our nervous system at a primal level that this relationship is high quality, we are safe. And that shifts us right out of a guarded, defensive state into an open, secure one.
And because of that, this deep biological feeling of being noticed and valued for exactly who we are, it's basically the glue that holds couples together. Look, every single relationship, even the most secure, deeply in love couples out there, will inevitably hit rough patches and friction. That's just human nature, right? But this specific type of appreciation is the exact thing that fosters enough commitment to actually survive those rocky periods. Biologically speaking, this safety signal drops your cortisol levels, deactivates that whole fight or flight response, and shifts the body into a state where long-term trust can actually be built and maintained.
Now, this gets super interesting when we look at attachment styles. Researchers found that feeling appreciated is an absolutely critical, powerful buffer for people with avoidant attachment tendencies. For someone who leans avoidant, navigating vulnerability usually feels inherently threatening. But consistent, genuine appreciation, it acts as this ultimate protective shield against their most heavily guarded insecurities.
Because as we know, for someone who leans avoidant, closeness itself feels downright dangerous. It's risky. The avoidance structure is really built on this lingering, pervasive worry that if they actually let their guard down, their partner won't be there for them when the chips are down. It's a core fear of abandonment that just masquerades as this need for extreme independence. So what do? Their natural defense mechanism kicks in. They build a wall, they keep their distance, and they rely totally on themselves to avoid the pain of rejection.
But the sequence of breaking down that defensive wall is like a fascinating chain reaction. Step 1, when the avoidant partner feels highly, genuinely appreciated, that massive influx of positive data directly challenges their internal narrative that closeness is a trap. Their brain is suddenly getting real-time evidence that their partner is truly invested. Step 2, that core fear starts to dismantle, and the nervous system finally registers safety, which leads to Step 3. It actually triggers pro-social behavior. Suddenly, the avoidant partner steps up. They're way more willing to sacrifice their own comfort, and they feel genuinely motivated to benefit their partner. The appreciation literally rewires their defensive response into a collaborative one. It's amazing.
But wait, there is a huge, absolutely crucial nuance here. Intention matters a lot. The research makes it crystal clear. You can't just toss a generic transactional thanks at your partner and expect their nervous system to magically light up with safety. It just doesn't work that way. Humans are basically incredibly advanced BS detectors. We do this unconscious scanning. It's called neuroception. We are constantly checking our environment to see if things are authentic. So the actual underlying motive behind your appreciation is what makes or breaks this entire dynamic. We aren't just processing the words. Our nervous system is heavily evaluating the intention behind them to see if that safety signal is actually real.
And this right here, this is usually the biggest aha moment in the research. There is a profound psychological difference between appreciating the what and appreciating the who.
Appreciating the what is purely functional. It's thanking your partner for doing the dishes just to keep the peace, or, to avoid a fight. It's rooted in avoidance motives, and sure, it's polite, but it's totally superficial. Appreciating the who, on the other hand, that relies on partner-focused approach motives. You're saying things specifically to make them feel deeply loved, understood, and seen for their core identity. We don't just want a gold star for the chores we do, we desperately need to feel valued for the person we inherently are.
When you finally shift your approach from just validating the what to validating the who, the transformation is incredible. Validating their core identity proves to their nervous system that it is entirely safe to be their authentic self around you. By using these partner-focused motives, you are quite literally turning walls back into doors. You're taking those massive, avoidant barriers designed to keep pain out, and you are transforming them right back into pathways for real, enduring intimacy. You're giving your partner's nervous system the exact psychological nourishment it's been starving for.
Okay, so what does this all mean for us? How do we actually translate this science into our real, everyday lives? Well, if you've been feeling a gap in appreciation or connection in your own relationship, there is a remarkably simple, science-backed practice you can start using. And no, it doesn't require some grand, sweeping, movie-style romantic gesture. In fact, it takes exactly 10 seconds. We call it the 10-second gratitude bid. It's a tiny daily habit that compounds into massive relational safety over time.
Here is exactly how you execute this 10-second bid today. All you're going to do is look your partner in the eye and name one thing you truly value about who they are. Again, not something they did for you this morning, not a chore they finished, but a specific, enduring trait about their core identity. You might say, I really admire your deep capacity for patience when everything is chaotic, or I so value how you always manage to find the humor in stressful situations. Maybe it's their quiet resilience or their gentleness. By doing this, you're speaking straight past all those defenses, right directly to their identity.
So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought to chew on today. What is one thing you truly value about who your partner is right now, today? Seriously, think about it. Pinpoint that specific core trait and go share it with them. It just might be the exact nervous system signal they need to lower those walls and open the door to a much, much closer connection. Thank you so much for hanging out with me for today's Explainer. Be sure to check the description for all the research-backed resources we talked about today, and I'll catch you in the next one.